Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
The holidays start here at Kroger with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Kroger has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. And welcome to another episode of Stat Me Up for Anfield Index. So, what a week it's been, ladies and gents. We had the down of the Sunday against United. We had the up of the midweek hammering of West Ham, didn't we? And maybe just before, on Christmas Eve, the biggest one you could argue, we have got Arsenal at home. So there is plenty to discuss from the other night's action and what's set to come. And as normal, delighted to say I've got Ben Bocsak with me. Ben, I should say, first of all, happy Christmas or happy Christmas time, because it's probably the last time I'll see you before Christmas. But how are we?
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you as well. I'm all good. How about yourself?
Yeah, looking forward to this period. Technically, the right answer, as we know, people, is you're supposed to say you're looking forward to the festive period. But let's not lie. We're all looking forward to Arsenal. We're all looking forward to the insane amount of footy. And we're all, hopefully, fingers crossed, looking forward to the Reds firing and more victories. So with that in mind, Ben, it makes little sense not to go back to Wednesday night. And after they say the low of United and alleged 34 shots and not much happening, what a turnaround, eh? A 5-1 thumping. I mean, Szoboszlai, a Jones double, Salah even coming on, Gakpo, Elliott. It felt, it looked, it seemed a dominant win. Honest thoughts on that performance? Do you agree?
Yeah, I feel like it was one of those games that was coming for Liverpool, you know, getting 5. Like, it's been brewing. I feel like Liverpool have created so many chances and have had so many shots, particularly from outside the box, that this sort of result was sort of on the horizon. And I'm glad it happened now, you know, after the disappointment of Man United and heading into the big game against Arsenal. I think this was a good morale boost and a good sort of preparation for that game.
Yeah, in recent times, we've been kind of, in simple terms, in crude terms, we've been playing crap at times and winning. Sunday, we just kind of played crap. This has been like, yeah, we kind of wanted to see this for a while, haven't we? With like, and it was a proper shot total, not like 34 when you were scratching your head and thinking, did Onana have to do anything type of thing. This was a proper 34. We peppered their goal. It was just maybe at times even just a small bits of execution at the end. It could have been an even more emphatic scoreline. It didn't flatter us at all. Now, you know I ask you this every time, and I know you'll be prepared with your stats. Man of the match for you with the stats to back it up on Stat Me Up. What we going with?
Oh, it's a really difficult choice, to be honest, because I think there were so many brilliant individual performances.
Yeah.
You know, Darwin Nunez stood out, I think. He won the most duels on the pitch, and obviously got the assist, created a lot of chances, looked really good on the left, and we'll talk about him later. But I think for me, probably Curtis, you got to give it to Curtis Jones for his 2 goals. I think he was brilliant. He controlled the pitch really well. Didn't really stand out stat wise, but he had a good sort of pass completion rate. Did everything he had to, completed all his dribbles, won most of his duels. Like I said, wasn't extraordinarily good in terms of, winning the highest amount of duels or anything like that, but he did his job, got 2 goals as well. And I think I was looking over sort of his stats. He has 4 goal contributions in his last 4 games.
Wow.
If he stretched that out to long term, towards the end of last season when he was coming through and doing really well for us, in his last 25 games, he's got 9 goal contributions for Liverpool, which, is pretty good for a midfielder, I would say. And I think, if he can sustain that period for longer and continue that for a whole season, you potentially looking at a player who can get 10, 15 goal contributions from midfield, and Liverpool haven't really had that since maybe Philippe Coutinho or Adam Lallana. So yeah, it's really promising for him, I think, at the moment. And obviously he didn't have the best of starts to the season with the red card, which was really unfair. He had a couple of niggles. With Jones, it's always the key to sort of keep him match fit, keep him focused and sharp. But I think if you look at his last 25 games, he's really sort of developing that consistency and he's been much improved.
Yeah, no 2 ways about it. I think it's like you say, sometimes you're talking the stats, but the stats don't pick up that Jones takes the ball from just inside the West Ham half and slaloms through and like great goals like that. He was sensational and such a key part. And I have no doubt when we start talking about the lineup for Arsenal, well, I'll just hang up on you if you don't have him in it, Ben, personally, put it that way. So yeah, I think we'll both have him in it that way. Now, speaking of midfielders, I'm going to go to your Hungarian main man because he opened the scoring, didn't he, with an absolute thunderbolt of a strike. I mean, so pure when you saw the replay. The ball it wasn't moving in the air, wasn't it? It was just a pure strike right into the bottom corner. So, and I was there, Anfield was up, it was great. Is there enough in the stats from you and from what you saw to suggest this could be the return to form we all hope for? Because we have been honest recently, it has been a drop-off from it. And there's reasons for that, and we've talked about that. But is this real hope in the stats that there is a return to form from him? Yeah,
I mean, I think there's overall, Dominic has been sort of playing a different role than he's used to at Leipzig, or we're used to seeing him in the Hungarian national team. And even for Liverpool at the start of the season, I think he was helped out a lot by the fact that Trent had an injury. Trent wasn't sort of inverting as much as he is now. So obviously I wrote an article for Anfield Index where I kind of looked at his heat maps over the last few games, and what we saw before was the fact that he was playing a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Almost like a fullback covering for Trent when he's inverting. And naturally, you're going to get a drop off in terms of your creative numbers, your offensive numbers. But what we saw in this game is, again, he was playing sort of a lot further up the pitch. Centrally, it was in that final third. Most of his heat map was the hot spots were in the final third of the pitch.
Yeah.
Just in front of the penalty area. And obviously that's where you want to see him play. That's where he's best at. But it's just about figuring out how that works with Trent and Salah being on the pitch. I do think Liverpool's midfield was a lot more balanced even after Trent came on. I do think it's a bit of a tricky one for Klopp, because if you get those 3 players right, if you get the balance right, you have, the recipe for something really special. With Salah and Alexander-Arnold and Szoboszlai on the right side. But it's a tricky one to get right because they're all so similar and they all like to take up similar sort of positions. But certainly I think this game for Szoboszlai was important. I think, there was even reporters were asking questions of Linders and Klopp about his form and his performance. And I think he needed that game to show what he's actually capable of. And I'm certain he showed it, not just with the goal, but the overall performance I thought was really good. While he was on the pitch, I think he made the second most recoveries, and he also created 4 chances, which was the most chances created while he was on the pitch. So overall, I thought he put in a really good performance.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I think people would assume with that game, naturally, without looking at it or sort of analysing it, you'd probably think, it would have been someone like Harvey who would have created the most chances that way. But yeah, it really was sort of action-packed from Big Dom, as it were. So yeah, fingers crossed he continues in that vein because we know what he's capable of. And I mean, the final player I want to talk about from this game specifically, speaking of what they're capable of, Jarell Quansah. I mean, the potential with this kid. But the big thing I think that stood out for me and a lot of people as well, it's not just his defending, he looks calm and composed. It's that progressive passing, Ben. The fact he sort of played it through the line so often, he just struck that. And you think of the others, you think like Konate is obviously a beast of a defender and we know his qualities, but maybe doesn't have that incisive passing all the time. Matip's more your slalom runner type of thing, isn't he, and bringing it forward. But it did just strike me so much with Quansah, that progressive passing. I mean, do the stats back that up? How good are we talking? It seemed to be on the night.
Yeah, I mean, he completed the most passes, 78 in total, which was his completed passes. And if we're looking at the stats over his last 7 starts, he's done that for Liverpool 6 out of 7 times. And the one start when he didn't do it was against Crystal Palace. However, while he was on the pitch, he did complete the most passes in that game as well. But obviously it was subbed off at around the hour mark. So, other players had half an hour more to complete more passes, but he did complete the most while he was on the pitch. So yeah, statistically, that seems to be backed up with the way he's playing, the way he's so composed on the ball. And I think what is really nice to see is, when he does get the ball, he doesn't just create chances or instigate chances, but he's sort of getting the goal contributions as well. Obviously scored against Union SG, got the assist against West Ham, which is now his second assist, I think, for Liverpool. So, I was kind of looking at the numbers of comparing him to Manchester United forwards, and he's got more goal contributions than Mason Mount and Anthony combined in all competitions so far this season. So, I think that really sort of, it probably sums up how poor Manchester United's players have been, but, credit to him as well. It shows that, but for a young player, for a young centre-back, he's really come on and done really well for Liverpool. And I believe this is just the beginning. I've been a big fan of him since his academy days. I think, I know when Billy Cometio first sort of came into the setup, people were surprised, why not Quansah? And, people sort of, I saw Quansah as the sort of better overall player at under 18 level at the time. He was a lot more composed on the ball, he looked a lot more mature for his age, even in the academy days. Then obviously he got the experience at Bristol Rovers and he got his chance in pre-season and he took it well. And I think, he's definitely made Liverpool's plans, Liverpool reconsider their plans, I think, in terms of the January window. I'm not sure if Quansah wouldn't have come through, I feel like Liverpool would be very aggressive in the market given Matip's injury. But I think there's a lot more calmness now around Liverpool because we've got Quansah and he's shown he can be relied upon in the Premier League, in big games, in quarter-final ties in the League Cup. And I think it's exciting times.
Yeah, too. Actually, probably you got a point about the forward because that strike, even though we were poor against Union SG, was man of the match, and that strike, any forward would have been proud of. Simple as that. But yeah, you just saw it. Like I say, the passing was so good through the lines. Even Van Dijk style diagonals at times, switching the play. So he really did give us something different. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any of us have it in our Arsenal lineup later. That'll be an interesting one to come to. And as we always do on Stat Me Up, we've got to build the big game. Arsenal, Saturday, 5:30, Anfield under the lights, Ben. Jurgen Klopp's already started talking about, as you know, the atmosphere. I mean, get the juices flowing here, Ben. Give us some big, because this always tends to be goals or entertainment or something in this one. Give us some big stats from Liverpool versus Arsenal at Anfield, or what should we be excited about or looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned the goals, because going into this game, these are the two sides who've conceded the fewest goals in the Premier League with 15. So that might be something to watch. Arsenal have kept, I think, one more clean sheet than Liverpool. They've kept 7. Liverpool has 6. So, we'll see what happens. But potentially, if I was a stats man, maybe I wouldn't be expecting goals. But obviously, in big games like that, anything can happen. I think the key for Liverpool could be Alexander-Arnold. In his career so far, he's registered the most assists against Arsenal with 8. So, I think going into this game, there's been a lot of conversations about how Martinelli has got the best out of Alexander-Arnold. But in stats-wise, Alexander-Arnold seems to thrive against Arsenal, or at least that's what the numbers suggest. I think he's played 13 or 15 games. I can't remember correctly, but 8 assists is not a bad return in that time. I think another thing that is interesting is people label Arsenal as a possession side. But if we're looking at their average possession percentage in the Premier League this season, it's 60.5%. Liverpool's, on the other hand, is 60.4%. So, I don't see the conversation around Liverpool being a possession side, but when it comes to keeping the ball, it's pretty much the same. Arsenal are fractionally slightly better in that marker. I think another thing to watch is Arsenal have won the most penalties in the Premier League this season with 6 already. That's obviously something to keep an eye on, because Liverpool have conceded a few penalties this season already. And then, the big stat is probably the fact that Arsenal haven't beaten Liverpool at Anfield in the Premier League since 2012. It was more than 10 years ago now. I think Robin van Persie, no, it was, Podolski and Cazorla who scored the goals. And, I don't know if people remember, but Cazorla's goal was just a really poor error from Pepe Reina. You'll have to watch it back if you don't know what I'm talking about, but it was one of those really poor errors. In the team for Liverpool was Raheem Sterling, Steven Gerrard, Luis Suarez, and those kind of players. I think, I think Nuri Sahin might have started as well.
Yeah, felt back to the Brendan Rodgers darker days, as it were, so to speak. But
it was the worst start to Liverpool season in 50 years with that defeat.
Wow. Yeah. Fortunately, we are light years away from there nowadays in that sense. But you're right, it's interesting because this will be billed as a bit of a battle of the forwards, and it's easy to hype it up, isn't it? Like Saka versus Salah, those types of things. But yeah, both the most miserly defences in the league. So it will be interesting to see if that plays a part at the same time. I mean, Wednesday, especially the West Ham game, Ben, will have probably may have changed a lot of people's sort of initial predictions or what they'd like to see potentially in the lineup. Has it changed anything for you of how you think you would like Jurgen Klopp to set us up at all?
I think there's 2 areas where I think it's changed for me. One was Darwin Nunez on the left. I think I would like to see him keep that position, and the other one was Curtis Jones coming in. I wasn't sure who I wanted to start in that left-sided midfield role. Obviously, given Liverpool's got a few injuries, you never know who's going to be available. But I think Jones really showed that he's capable of doing a good job there. And I've kind of been surprised that he's been sort of not gotten as many opportunities as Gravenberch, for example, recently. But I think 2 goals against West Ham will have sent Jurgen Klopp a good message. And I personally would like to see him start in that left-sided midfield role.
Yeah, no doubts about either of those for me at all. I think I agree, especially that left-sided role. Luis Diaz has had, and this isn't trying to criticise the player, but plenty of chances recently. It's just not quite working for Luis, is it, at the moment? And left side, for all the people talk about Darwin Nunez goals and chances. I mean, he did create chances, as you mentioned. He hit the post. He, played a great assist for Curtis as well. And yeah, I just don't see, especially the way that the Gravenberch-Jones tandem, the Gravenberch-Szoboszlai tandem, it hasn't really worked, as we've said before. Like, I don't see a case for not starting Curtis Jones on the left-hand side either. You'd be disappointed. I think we all would be if they're not in the lineup. And one player that will probably be disappointed in essence, which might surprise a few, but I know you've kind of sort of battered his case quite a bit, Ben, and obviously on the stats. Wataru Endo, I mean, seems to be starting more games, and especially in the bigger ones. For all the disappointment against United, was probably one of the better performers. And again, in the time he was on the pitch for this one, seemed to, or appeared to have a good game again, or an impact. Did the stats back that up at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, he created 4 chances himself, 4 key passes in the game, which I think is quite impressive for a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
4 out of 6 duels. He drew the most fouls on the pitch. I think that's kind of an underrated trait of his that people are not talking about. Everyone seems to think physically he's not quite strong enough for the Premier League, but I think he deals with those physical situations quite well, using his body to win fouls, or just using his core muscles to make sure he's not knocked off the ball. And if he is knocked off the ball, it'll be because he was fouled, like against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also has a really good pass completion rate, completed 96% of his passes against West Ham. So overall, I thought he put in another good performance. I think he's making a good case to be the starter in that holding midfield role. Given the fact that he was substituted around the hour mark, I think he will start against Arsenal based on his performance against Man United as well. I think he deserves that start. And just in terms of his overall season statistics, I think I mentioned possession adjusted interceptions that Wyscout does. So it kind of sort of accounts for how much possession a team keeps, and then sort of does interceptions around that. And for that metric, he's actually the best performing midfielder in Europe's top 5 leagues.
Wow.
And for Liverpool as well, in all competitions, he's averaged the most interceptions out of midfielders. So I think his reading of the game is really good. I think he's improved a lot physically. I read his autobiography where he sort of talks about when he first came into the Bundesliga, he hired a personal trainer to deal with the physical aspects, and he really worked on his core muscles to make sure he's able to handle those physical challenges. And I think what we've seen since he's arrived at Liverpool is it's probably seen, the Premier League is an even bigger step up from the Bundesliga in terms of physicality and intensity. And obviously it was going to take him a bit of time to adjust to that, but yeah. I'm sure behind the scenes he's doing the same sort of work, and he's putting in the same sort of dedication that he did when he was in the Bundesliga. And I think we're starting to see the fruits of that work that he's put in, because every game he seems to get better and better and more confident and more also just better at handling these physical situations.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, even as the games have been big, the United, the Carabao Cup quarterfinal, I think he'll be hoping, and many people will have him in the starting lineup. It will be interesting to see. I suppose the only other 2 big points, because we, on Stat Me Up, guys, we love to get into sort of the big points with the stats, and especially from the West Ham game. We kind of alluded to him, but Darwin Nunez, that left-hand side. I was staggered, I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, that you said he had the most sort of recoveries or chances created. I can't remember which one, but what other stats can we kind of give, or are you looking and thinking, yeah, this Darwin on the left, there's a real case for this going forward?
Yeah, I mean, just in that game in particular, I think the fact they won the most duels, like you said, won the most tackles for Liverpool, created the second most chances, it kind of shows you pretty much everywhere. And that's what I saw. He showed so much energy. But then, he obviously sent me the agenda last night, and I've been wanting to look into this because I was quite curious in how he's performed for Liverpool on the left-hand side in particular, as opposed to playing as a centre forward. And what I found is, for Liverpool, when he's played on the left, he's averaged a goal or assist every 90 minutes while he's played on the left side, as opposed to 0.54 per 90 minutes as a forward. If we're looking at Premier League goals, so he's played 717 minutes in the Premier League for Liverpool as a left winger. In that time, he's averaged 0.75 goals per 90. As a forward, he's played 2,204 minutes for Liverpool and he's averaged 0.29 goals per 90. So if for some reason, it seems strange to say, but he's actually averaging more goals per 90 minutes, obviously on a much shorter sample, as a left winger than as a forward, which I think is interesting. I think it seems to suit him, sort of cutting in from the left, and it feels like there's less pressure on him when he's playing on the left. It feels like he knows he's not there to score goals, and as a result, he feels more confident when he gets into those situations. So I think there's a strong case for him to play on that left wing position, obviously with Hackworth getting a goal as well. It would be interesting to see which front three Jurgen Klopp goes with, but for me, based on the stats, based on what I looked up last night, I'm kind of firmly in the boat that says Nunez should get a go on the left wing.
Yeah, especially that's just even strengthened the case from me. But from what I'm seeing, and it's unfortunate because we don't want to be disparaging, but it's not quite happening for Luis Diaz either at the moment as well. So yeah, I'm struggling to make a case against putting Darwin on the left yet, fully in that camp too. And it probably feels right to finish this talking about a player that, despite everything that's happened in midweek and recent cameos and stuff, we've not mentioned Harvey Elliott really so far. Now, the interesting thing about Harvey Elliott was against West Ham, Salah was on the bench, so he started that right forward role. He played really well. Do the stats and from what you've seen, Ben, give a case for Harvey Elliott to get more minutes in the right-sided forward? Can we make that case in that regard, that he can sort of move into that position?
I think so. I mean, even we're always talking about Trent, who played as a midfielder in his academy days. Elliott, of course, has predominantly played as a right winger for most of his career. Obviously maybe lacks that speed and that intensity that Mohamed Salah has, but, I think he's got the ability to be able to cut in similar to Mohamed Salah and, cut into his left foot. And we saw that against Crystal Palace. He scored a brilliant goal. Overall, when it comes to sort of midfielders for Liverpool, he's really good at progressive carries. I think he's averaged the most progressive carries for Liverpool out of midfielders in all competitions. And, he's averaged the most carries into the box as well, for Liverpool midfielders in all competitions. So yeah, he's got that ability in him, I think, to pick up the ball and go on runs and beat players 1v1. And I think that obviously makes a good case for him to start playing more regularly on the right wing, particularly when Salah goes. I know people have suggested Szoboszlai in that right wing role, but for me, because he's right footed, you're getting a completely different type of player in that position. I know Szoboszlai has played a lot as a right winger for Leipzig, but for me, it wasn't really a traditional right winger that you would associate with Liverpool. It was more of a right attacking midfielder in the Leipzig system. However, I think for me, Elliot is more naturally suited to that position and more of a like for Salah than Szoboszlai. And I think the only thing really missing from him are the goal contributions, because all his underlying statistics in terms of chances created and everything else, he's doing really well. I think probably it's similar to sort of Curtis Jones, who was maybe a year or so ago in a similar boat where, his performances were good, his underlying statistics were good, but he was just missing the goals and the assists. And with Harvey, still a very young player, we've seen that he can score goals and can get assists for England on the 21 side this season. And I think it's just about getting more confident and getting more experience in this Liverpool setup. And with time, I'm sure the goals and the assists will come as well.
Yeah, no doubts about it at all. I mean, there is a lot to be positive about, especially on, like say, it just felt different, that West Ham performance had been coming for a while. Liverpool had played well and won. So it's going to lead me into the final question I'm going to ask you before Christmas time, Ben. Saturday, 5:30, the big game, Arsenal at home, score prediction. What are you going for?
That is a tough one. I think I'm going with 2-1 for Liverpool. I think Trent will score and Salah will score. That's the result I'm going for. I just feel like with Anfield behind Liverpool, with Arsenal, I think hoping to keep most of the possession, that will suit Liverpool nicely. We've scored a lot of goals from transitions this season. And if it plays out the way we want it to, and Arteta's side sort of trying to keep the ball, Liverpool pressing high, if that works out and Liverpool play their very best, I think we can beat them, and there's enough in Liverpool to get a result over this Arsenal side.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a massive game. It's the bookend to a massive week. It's the game just before Christmas. So let's hope they send us full of festive cheer into the evening, which all it leaves me to say is, Ben, as ever, thanks for the time. Thanks for the stats. Thanks for the insights, and have a Merry Christmas, my mate.
Yeah, you too. And everyone listening as well. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All enjoy, stay safe, enjoy your festive period. And let's hope, ladies and gents, the next time we're getting together, we are talking about red wins against many a team. But all it really leaves me to say is, as ever, thank you for listening. And that was another Stat Me Up for Anfield Index.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index, and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
The winter savings event is going on right now at Prime Furniture, with up to 30% on all orders and free delivery. Prime Furniture can help you get your home ready for the holidays. For a limited time, Prime Furniture is giving away a 50-inch television with the purchase of select living room furniture sets. For prime quality, prime prices, and the best holiday deals in town, choose family-owned and operated Prime Furniture. Stop by their showroom on Roberts Road in Hilliard or visit them online at primefurnitureoh.com.